Hello again, everyone. You're joining us for another episode of Executive Platform's Blueprint podcast series. My name is Geoff Micks. I'm head of content and research. My guest today is Becky Crane of General Mills. We're going to be having a conversation about why manufacturing is having a moment. It's an exciting time for the industry, and it's an opportunity for some people to build careers that are going to be very fulfilling, very exciting. What's old is new again, and there's a lot of exciting things to talk about. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. Becky, thank you so much for joining me today.
You're welcome. I'm excited to be here.
Why don't we start off by maybe dispelling a few myths people might have about manufacturing? I think there are a lot of opportunities for young people as they're entering the workforce, and manufacturing has become sort of a side thought. They're not really thinking of it as their future, and I think that's a missed opportunity. Can we talk about that?
Yeah. I think manufacturing is going to be one of the most exciting places to be when we think about industry and supply chain in particular, for a couple of reasons. The first is that we're in the middle of like another industrial revolution. When you think about the intersection with people and technology, it's going to take great leaders, great technology, change management, process leadership, all of that coming together that is going to fundamentally change the employment proposition for the millions across our country that work in these frontline manufacturing jobs. What that's going to look like is we need to have great leaders that want to lead these amazing people. And so starting with really doubling down on making sure that we have the absolute best leaders that know their name, that can create a culture of belonging. And when you walk in the door on third shift, you're going to say, okay, this is hard. It's a total shift from where my normal day-to-day and my circadian rhythm and everything is, but I have a family there that knows who I am, is going to help me through this. And it starts with the leader. So having really exceptional leaders, there is no better place to gain leadership experience than leading a manufacturing team, bar none. The second thing that's going to be really different is we have a digitally native workforce. We have seen 40% turnover across the last 5 years in the industry. The average age of tenure was well over 15 years in 2019, internationally or domestically here in the United States. After the pandemic in 2023, that dropped down to average of 3.
Wow.
So when you saw this great exodus of these very senior 40, 50-year employees through the course of the pandemic, what you lost is experience-based technical expertise, and that made it a lot harder to deliver the same level of results. Those that are coming in to these new jobs want something different than a 50-year career that comes where you work third shift, then you go to second shift, then you go to third shift. They want something that challenges them. They want technology-driven work. They want a modern work experience. Gone are the days where someone is going to come in and look at a dusty manual and try to figure out how to run a piece of equipment. They want a YouTube-style approach in technology that allows them to pop it up and they can see it, learn it, and their speed to proficiency, if we connect these teams with the right tools and technology and information, is going to be lightning fast compared to what it has been in the last 50 years. We are going to make, really 5 years feel like the new 30. If we get the right talent in there, we surround them with the team that shows them that we care and that they matter, get the technology in because they grew up with an iPhone in their hands. So this isn't anything new. Modern work experience with the right technology, it is going to unlock results and I think new innovation in this very historically, very long-lived industry in manufacturing that I think is going to be really, really exciting.
So I think a lot of the people who are going to enjoy this episode, they're either going to be supply chain executives, they're going to be manufacturing executives. They are right now dealing with this turnover in their workforce, and I wonder if you have some advice for them to build that culture and build that employer of choice aspect into it, where people want to work there, and when they get there, they are having the opportunity to build the culture that they want to work in.
I think dispelling and throwing away because we did it, they're going to do it, needs to happen immediately. These folks have other choices, whether it be gig work, you think about Uber, Lyft, some of these other, you can call them side hustles where folks are doing where they don't want a fixed schedule where someone tells them whether they have to work overtime, what shift they're going to be on. That's not what our employees want anymore, and that's why they're choosing to work other places so that they can find that flexibility and autonomy. So those are the two key words for this next generation of this workforce to get people to come in the door and then to stay. They want flexibility, be able to change shifts when they need to, swap independent of having to ask their manager. And then they want to do that autonomously and via technology. And so what I think that the next phase is going to be, you create this amazing culture of belonging where that gets people, in the door and to stay. Our kind of our motto is #stay a while, because you had this turnover that was so fast in our first year employees. They got burned out and it's really hard to work third shift. So get them to feel like they belong, put the right tools in their hands and a career path. And then we're actually working on something really exciting, which is looking at how do we leverage technology to provide ultimate at scale scheduling flexibility and autonomy, which is something that has been around for decades. If anyone has seen a flight attendant, they've had this for well over 10 years where there's an app and they're able to select shifts, take shifts, swap shifts, and it's all done via technology. And so they can do it real time, in control, and that's where that autonomy comes into place. You feel like you have control. You're employee driven, flexible schedule in the work that they want that matters. And so we're doing really fast and furious work right now to see what solution technology could work, and then how might we be able to scale that across our over 10,000 across the United States.
I love the example of flight attendants have been doing this for years, because I think one of the things that does put people off is it's a little scary change. Mm-hmm. And the idea of but we still need those shifts done. We still need that overtime done. But if you give people the option where they're opting in, that's going to help retention, that's going to help recruitment, that's going to help engagement. It sounds like a great tool, and it sounds like you're finding success with it.
Yeah. Well, we're not there yet. We're still learning. We're trying to figure out how to do this. So doing this at scale with a really complex work system. So we have different work systems across our over 25 domestic locations. Even within a site, there's different schedules as we've added on. One team might be on a 4-crew schedule, another team might be on a 3-crew, but they start at a different time to help with congestion or other things that might happen in the plant. And so getting a tool that for a site and an enterprise can help optimize all these different variables with skills, shift, time, number of hours worked is a really complex algorithm to solve. So this is really in the deep technology-driven solutions, but this is something where there's shift work that exists everywhere, whether it be flight attendants, medical, doctors, nurses, PAs. They work shift work. Shift work is everywhere. How do you make it so that people have a little bit more control? And this unlocks then really working flexibility, so almost work-life balance for our frontline employees, where they can choose a career that I think is going to be really exciting and very technology forward in the future. But it's still, they can be there for moments that matter with their family. A softball game at night, going to a band concert, being there potentially during the day in the morning to help bring their kids to their doctor appointment. Those are all things that we know matter to, especially even more to today's workplace, to be able to be there with their family, with their partners, with those that they care about, or take time for themselves in the way that they want. And technology is going to play a huge part in that. And I think it's going to unlock a lot more people that are going to choose manufacturing as a career and find that it's really rewarding.
Absolutely. You touched on leadership at the very beginning, and I'd love to expand upon that a little, because I think when you're talking about a new culture, a new way of work, you need people who are going to lead your organization, do that, lead the teams. Even at the frontline level, there's someone on the plant floor asking a team to do something. How do you encourage that culture of leadership? What are the new leaders going to be required to do, and how are we giving them the tools to do that?
Yeah. Change management is a big one. And so there's just change everywhere right now, the pace of change. And I think we're all exhausted from hearing this of change is the new normal. It's going to be there constantly. Well, that's not really motivating, right? If you're just in this constant state of change. So how do we really take a step back and say, how do we intentionally invest in our frontline leaders to make sure that they have the right skills, knowledge, and context to be able to lead in the best way that they can to bring their teams along? And so we actually started a program called Frontline Leader Academy, where we bring hundreds of leaders across the United States into our headquarters office, and we do development. We do, whether it be culture of belonging, leadership development, workplace violence, right? So that's something that they need to be equipped while it is infrequent. They need to be able to be equipped to handle that. And so doing that proactively, and how do you lead through change? What's the context in the business? So why would the business be asking certain plants or locations to do that, run a weekend, shut down, run a different product, innovation, things like that. And so it really brings this team together for community, invest in their development to make sure that we are not just expecting them to be great leaders, but how do we help them get there and then build community around that has been incredibly successful. We've seen our first year retention of our new employees since doing this and a number of other things improve over 3 points. And that's just in the last 12 months. And we've got a long way to go, but the results are really encouraging. And if you feel like someone's investing in you, it allows you to bring your more full, authentic self in a way that you can show that you care because you've got the right skills, and you know that the company's going to have your back when things get tough, because they do. On a shift basis, there's things that happen every single day. The great thing about manufacturing is no 2 days and no 2 hours are alike. Some people like me really enjoy the variety, but for others it can be exhausting. So you got to help them through what that looks like and how do they lead through that in the best way possible. That then is going to get people to stay. So that 5-year mark is really, really critical for us. If we can give them to 5, we think we have a chance of getting them to 20. And then you couple technology in there, we're going to have people that feel like we've got 50% of our population with 30 years of experience. Like, wow, that's going to be really incredible when the reality is they only have 5. So
I wonder if we could get into a couple of specifics, because it's wonderful to say changes here and we're listening and we're giving people the tools to move forward. And then I think of specialties and those job roles that are always tough to recruit for. Maybe we could start with engineering, which is a space that everybody wants people with this education. It is a very competitive marketplace. How are you attracting and retaining those people, giving them the tools to succeed? What is your experience there?
Yeah, we've got a team of incredibly talented engineers and General Mills that care just as much as the frontline leaders. You would never be able to differentiate these technical leaders and these technical experts from the frontline leaders. That's how much they care. They will drop things at a dime to go help a piece of equipment that breaks down. And many of them have well over 30 years of experience. So we have this incredibly tenured, just enormously talented group in our engineering community. And we know that we're not going to be able to have them for another 30. They're not going to work for 60 years. And so this next generation that's coming up is bringing not only the technical expertise and the passion, but they want to know what the career path looks like too, technically. And so that's something really important of what does the technical career path looks like, because that's where the new people coming in are going to know, what is the work that I'm doing? How does it connect to what the enterprise priorities are? And does it matter? How can I continue to build my skills? And then what does my trajectory look like so I can continue to advance my career that with our technical leaders may not include them having ambition to lead people. And so you've got to have a path to be able to do both of those things. And so finding that business connection, business leaders with supply chain expertise and engineering, technical depth, innovation connected to with like this enterprise objectives and impact, I think is really going to be where our engineering leaders of the future are going to want to see us go. And they are so critical to bringing to life so much of what we do, whether that be from innovation, capital design. We've got maintenance and reliability. We have a very, very talented, in addition, digital team that is small and mighty. And so you heard Paul, for those that were at the conference, he's referenced this as have I, a number of innovations just on the digital side of where we're driving out waste, putting that back into the product. So it's good for the planet, it's good for the product, it's good for the business, it's good for our people. And so that's going to be another really exciting place for folks to be able to venture. Digitization is going to be everywhere. And I think our technical leaders are going to be at the forefront of that.
When we talk about a culture in transition, especially in a manufacturing space, one of the things that I worry about a little bit is safety. I think some of that is learned over a period of time. Some of that comes from a deep respect of this is where we all work together and we're going to be building our careers here and we want everyone to be safe at the end of the day. In this high turnover environment where new people are coming in and being brought up to speed very quickly, how are you making sure safety is still at the forefront?
Yeah, safety is the first thing that we do. It is a barrier to entry to even having the right to lead this incredibly talented group of people across our teams. And so I am incredibly proud of the work that we've done with safety, we've taken a different approach. It's been a bit of a safety transformation, which you don't often hear in the last couple years, where we have shifted from, really focusing on we're going to eliminate this and it's preventable, someone made a wrong choice, to, there's the HOT principles. So human error is normal. And so how do we understand work is done versus work is imagined, and how might we get more of this into the open and have conversations about things proactively and risk. So a great example of this is you have a sidewalk, it has a right angle, and then there's a path that has been worn cutting that angle right between the two sidewalks. The sidewalk clearly says where you should walk, but there's a very visual indication that what you're asking people to do is very different than what they're actually doing. It's in those moments of what they're actually doing versus what is on the paper and that you think that, intended to do. That's where risk exists. So whether it be guarding, ways of working, congestion. And so you want to create a culture of psychological safety that then allows the conversations to happen. We started this a number of years ago. Since inception of the program, we have reduced our serious injury fatalities by 50%.
Oh, wow.
And we are at record lows. Now, we still have a lot of work to do, and risk exists everywhere. But what we're finding is by measuring, I'm going to say near misses that happen, we're getting more of those elevated at the severity level that then we can do something about and have conversations. And so more conversation, more proactive acknowledgement before someone gets hurt, that's going to keep people going home in the same condition to their families more and more every single day. And it's something that I'm incredibly proud of. And we still have a long way to go, but it's bearing really good results right now.
I feel like we've covered a lot of ground in this conversation, and I'm so pleased that General Mills has this passion to share. If you wanted to pick a couple of bullet points that you want people to think about further, maybe learn from General Mills' example and apply it to their own work, what would you want to highlight for them?
I'd say, the people is where everything's at, whether it be technology or results or anything. It all starts with our incredible people. You have people that are going to want to stay and continue there by having an incredible and exceptional culture of belonging. So they come in the door, you've got a great group, you have a culture of belonging that makes people know to their core that they matter. You layer on great leadership and investing in your leaders to be able to do this, and then you put technology in the hands of our over 30,000. We are quite literally going to be able to do anything. And it's going to be at a pace of change that is unprecedented in what we've seen. But it all starts with people. So people aren't going away, and you've got to have the right people and care for your team and the right culture. And then you throw in technology, anything's possible.
What a great note to end on. Becky, I feel like I could talk to you all day. I do want to be respectful of your time. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Thank you for having me.
You've been listening to another episode of Executive Platform's Blueprint podcast series. I've been Geoff Micks. Let's do it again soon.